I can't Bluetooth or YouTube while I'm at work.
I can't YouTube while I'm at work.
Okay, so that's going?
Yep.
Okay, so here's our giant multipolar neuron model. A reminder before we start that these rubbery bits are actually parts of a separate neuron, and the rest of the structure is this neuron. The parts that we can see on the giant multipolar neuron, the large softball-shaped structure in the middle is the cell body. If we look inside the cell body, you can see the nucleus, which looks kind of like a little wiffle ball in the middle. Projecting off of the cell body, we have these dendrites, which are the very thick white or clear structures. If we follow the cell body, it starts to taper in the region of the axon hillock, where it goes from the large body to the tapered region. The axon hillock finally ends at the axon. This skinny structure we can see here, we can see a piece of it here, and running up the middle. The axon is wrapped in the myelin sheath. Collectively, all these layers that we see here form the myelin sheath. The surface of the myelin sheath is the neurolemma, the portion that we can see on the outside. And if we go to the distal end, we can see the endoneurium, which is the areolar connective tissue surrounding an individual neuron. Lastly, these rubbery bits are the axon termini of a previous neuron interacting with this neuron. We're going to shift gears now and take a look at the spinal cord in cross-section. Just a reminder that this is a cervical vertebrae, so we can see the spinous process at the back, the cell body at the front, and that helps for orientation. If we look at the spinal cord itself, you'll note it's divided into white matter around the edges and gray matter in the middle. The white matter is divided into fununculi, with the anterior furunculus at the front, the lateral furunculus at the side, and the posterior furunculus at the back. The gray matter, on the other hand, is divided into horns, with the anterior horn at the front, the lateral horn at the side, and the posterior horn at the back. The two sides of gray matter are connected by the gray commissure, this bridge running in the middle, and the dot in the middle of the gray commissure is the central canal. If we look at the front of the spinal cord, we see a very large infolding, and this is the anterior median fissure. If we look at the back of the spinal cord, we see a small infolding, and this is the posterior median sulcus. Coming off the spinal cord are nerve roots, and we can see the dorsal nerve roots at the back, and the ventral nerve roots located at the front. If we follow the dorsal nerve roots, they come to this large swelling, which is the dorsal root ganglia. The dorsal root ganglia branches into the dorsal ramus, going backwards, and the ventral ramus coming forwards. Coming off of the ventral ramus is the ramus communicans, this small bridge, and the ramus communicans leads to this swelling, the sympathetic chain ganglia. If we go back to take a look at the membranes that we can see on the spinal cord, there are three membranes. The outermost membrane is the dura mater. Just inside the dura mater is the arachnoid mater, and actually sitting on the spinal cord itself is the pia mater. The space outside the dura mater is the epidural space. The space under the dura mater, this very small brown line that we can see, is the subdural space, and the space under the arachnoid mater is the subarachnoid space.
That's it.